in Scotland. So, you know, I'll never forget that.
That's us live now, Kevin. That's us
Right.
live now.
Okay.
As I say, people, that's us went live now, and we've got the main man, Kevin Lane from London. As I say, his book's out, fitted up and fighting back. So glad to have this man. There it's there. I'll put it the link in the description to where you can buy it and get it. And as I say, please support Kevin and his campaign against justice. And as I say, fitted up and fighting back. So let's get on the podcast and take it away, Kev. We'll just talk about Scotland. You come back up to Scotland over next year, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to come back up early next year sometime. I have to get permission because I'm crossing the border into another country. It's the English tier, and
right.
as a lot of Scots do. So I have to get permission because I'm handed over to the authorities up there just to come and see my family. And my uncle's not well. I was due to come up 2 years ago before I got recalled, unlawfully recalled. And I was speaking to my solicitor this morning. And they're suing the government for compensation for wrongfully recalling me and holding me in prison. And I didn't do a single thing wrong. So I want to get back up to Scotland in sometime in 2022. I'm in Scotland. I owe Scotland a lot. My father was Scottish, and I love Scotland. I love the passion and the people. Yep. You know, I tell people I'm a Cockney jock. And I fly the flag for, you know, so...
No, that's it, you've only been honest. No, you've only been honest.
So, I've been out now just over 2 months.
Well done, Kevin.
Hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up out the door every day at 5:30, out the door.
Yeah.
I go to the gym and then go to work. I've got my own businesses. I've got a haulage company and I've got a company that imports houses from Turkey. They're a bit like the SIP panels, structurally insulated panels. And I also build modular homes, which is a new modern method of construction.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to have a job in the current climate with the COVID. But like you say, like you said to me earlier, it's having the drive and to keep going and to be around the right people.
That's it. You've got to surround yourself with positive people, Kevin, and take the negative people away if you're going to get anywhere in life. You know what I mean?
And try to remain happy. I mean, there's a thing called happy news, and it's on. You get it on Alexa. Why do you want to listen to negative news? Listen to happy news on Alexa and think about the good things going on in the world. And
exactly.
Try to smile because it doesn't matter who you are. It costs nothing to smile, and it makes you feel good. And if you try that, you smile, you feel good. So
exactly.
Go and smile, I dare you.
You
feel better already, didn't you?
Yeah.
You feel better already.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy even talking to you. But as I say, I mean, even just walking down the street and saying hiya to somebody makes them happy. You know what I mean?
In the old days, it was good morning, afternoon, good morning.
Exactly.
In London, if you do that to somebody now, they think you're a weirdo. Yeah. I'll get on the bus and I'll talk to you. I'll say, hello, mate, how are you? All right? You go, yeah, I'm all right, pal. And we'll talk. All right? But they think, oh, fuck me, this geezer's just got out the loony bin. Where's he from? No, I'm quite open. You know, I'm a very friendly person.
Yeah, aye, man. Oh, I've seen that.
But don't put your hand on my knee.
That's another one. But yeah, Scotland's a very friendly place. You know what I mean? Everybody's always laughing, smiling, and stuff like that. And so, as I say, get back to the camp. I see you're doing your campaign, Kevin.
So I got convicted of a murder, a contract killing.
Yeah.
In 1996, I was put into Belmarsh Special Secure Unit. It's a prison within a prison. So it's a bit like a German war camp for escapees where all floodlights and helicopters and dogs and razor wire and all stuff like that flying about. I was put into there as a very young man, kept there for a very long time.
Right.
I mean, on the outside of my cell, I had 2 deadbolts and a padlock, as well as, and it was electronically controlled. So, and you checked every half an hour, constantly. Right. So it's a bit severe. In England, they call it exceptional risk. So that's triple category A. I don't mean that egotistically, but people need to understand what's going on in society. That you can be taken from your family, placed in within the belly of the beast, and kept from your family. I mean, I had to have closed visits with a screen in front of us, like the Holston Pills advert.
Right.
All the sugar turns to alcohol, Nobby. Remember that? So I used to have that with my legal team, holding up documents, so anyway, my campaign's going forward. There was a panorama program called Last Chance for Justice, and it's on the website, Fitted Up and Fighting Back.
Yeah.
You go on there and you can see the panorama documentary, and it basically says that I was convicted on wrongful information, which I always said. I turned to the jury and said, "You made a terrible mistake. I never did this." So basically, very quickly, what they done, the prosecution died a month after my case. He had cancer. He knew he was on his way out. So he bent the rules. And there was a fingerprint on a bag. They found that fingerprint on the bag after they arrested me and released me. And then they found the print. Amazing, right? They'd had the bag 3 months. But on that print, they turned around and said there was a mark on that print. And they're saying that that mark was consistent with gripping a Mossberg pump-action shotgun inside of that bag.
Right.
The jury had thought that I'd gripped a gun in that bag, and they also was told that the deceased was killed with a Mossberg pump-action. It was damning for me, Darren.
No.
So I got found guilty. And there was one particle of firearm residue inside the bag. They said that a spent gun, a used gun, had been placed inside that bag, or ammunition. And if that was the case, there was hundreds, if not thousands, of particles in the bag. But at the time of the trial, it was enough to get me convicted. So you've got Joel Nathan QC. He goes on there, and he was Michael Mansfield's junior. For those who don't know who Michael Mansfield is,
I've read of him.
Yeah, he's one of the most recognised barristers in the world, really. He represented Diana's case and many of the London gangsters and criminals and high-profile cases. Well, Joel Nathan goes on TV and he says, it is a game changer. So I'm due to go to what's called the Criminal Cases Review Commission, the CCRC, and they're going to assess this information, this evidence, by panorama and consider my case.
Yep.
I'm confident because you cannot second guess what a jury member would have thought of that evidence. And there's a point of law called Pendleton. And you mustn't place yourself in the domain of a juror and try to second guess what they thought. So I'm looking forward to see what the CCRC say in relation to that. It's quite twisted though. So I carry on.
No.
During my trial, like I say, the QC who prosecuted me, he was ill and he died less than a month after. And they set a charity up called the Kalisher Trust or the Kalisher Foundation. And that was to fund trainee barristers during their trainee. Well, where do you think they went to work? Only the Criminal Cases Review Commission. So every time I sent my paperwork to them, it's being reviewed by trainee barristers. Or may have been. It does stand a chance. No. I kept getting knocked back. So I wrote to the CCRC because I also found out that the chief constable at the time of my arrest for Hertfordshire Police was one of the 14 commissioners in the CCRC.
Right.
So I wrote to them and I said, do any of the staff within the CCRC know the police officers involved in my case? So the CCRC wrote back to me and they said, it is inevitable that staff within the Criminal Cases Review Commission knew the police officers involved in your case or knew someone who knew them. But we don't feel, in the eyes of the impartial observer, that this would cause the form of bias. Well, what do you think, Darren? It's biased.
I'd say it was a bit.
Conflict of interest.
Aye.
So
It's hard. It's in my things. It's just I don't know, man. You just caught me off guard
what
there.
goes on in the criminal justice system, people have no idea. So I went up for appeal when I got released because I
Right.
got released from prison. Some paperwork was sent to my solicitor from an anonymous source. That paperwork caused me to be downgraded from category A immediately, chucked into a B category prison and moved through the system and then released very quickly. When I was released, I went up on appeal based on this paperwork that was sent to my solicitor. And it came from the police files. So Lord Chief Justice Rafferty stepped into my appeal and sat on my appeal 2 weeks before I went up. Lord Chief Justice Rafferty set the Calisher Trust up for the prosecutor who prosecuted me. Yes.
Well,
so you have to ask yourself, and she sat on my appeal and then knocked me back.
Kevin, do you think the police wanted you off the streets?
Of course they wanted me off the streets. Yeah, they'd had enough of me.
Yeah,
So,
because that's what it sounds like. And it sounds like with the thing in the bag and the rest of it, it's like we need to get him off the streets. You know what I mean?
I don't mind the fact that they took me off the streets, but I was a worker. I wasn't running around like the wee man in Scotland collecting debts for Arthur Thompson. I mean, Paul Ferris is a good friend of mine. You know, Paul had the police had the hump with Paul because he was, you know, as he said in one of his documentaries, he had a shopping list of things to do and he got them done. Now, I wasn't like that. I went to work. I had a security company, but I purchased a security company to go into camera security. So it was a stepping stone, not because I wanted to have a security company. But that security company brought trouble to the door because people can't behave on alcohol, and it did cause a lot of trouble. And it was more so that local villains wanted me off the scene because I would turn up on your doorstep if you upset me. If you did something wrong, I just said it was wrong. And I said, well, let's have a go outside on the street, me and you. This is what men do best. Sort it out like a man. And that upset a few people, ruffled their feathers. And so I got taken off of the streets and fitted up by a bent copper who was sent to prison for 4 years. A fellow called Roger Vincent and David Smith. And Roger Vincent was arrested for this murder, and he engaged in what's called confidential chats. I want people to see his picture. So he's been charged with murder for the crime that I was sentenced to. He then engaged in confidential chats, and that photograph was taken after he engaged in his confidential chats and he was charged with murder. He then began, he said, I want to talk to the police about the advantages of a system with this inquiry. It's all in my book. I've got all the legal documents in there, as people can see again. So let me see that. Hold on. So
you can see it, Kevin. You can see it, mate.
All right. There's caseworkers' details. It's all in there. And there's custody records where he asked to be taken to speak to the police on a confidential basis without his solicitor being informed in prison. And what he does, he names me for the murder. He starts working with the police and the bent police officer, and they fitted me up. It's all factual in the book, and that book's been out a year now.
Where do you purchase the book, Kevin? Where can you purchase it?
On Waterstones. I nearly said Witherspoons then.
Oh, I got it in there, anyway.
Get it there, and all you, if you play your cards right. Waterstones, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on the website, Fitted Up and Fighting Back. But we're going to be in the shop in Waterstones soon as well. But Amazon, you're better off getting it off the website because it's far better. Amazon take all the money. I mean, I got a check last month for 80 quid.
Amazon,
I don't take no money for it. I donate to 4 charities. I'll probably get about 20 pence a copy. Okay. That's better off sending it through the website, and then I'll get the full cost of the book and more money for charities than that.
That's it. Because I was waiting to see you. You always been into charity work, Kevin?
Always been into charity work. I donate regularly. I give people money all the time. Money to make people happy, not unhappy.
Yeah.
It's no good being in the grave, is it?
No, it's no, definitely, definitely not, buddy. But as I say, going back to your time in prison, how did you cope? How did you cope with your time in prison?
Well,
Your family,
they
stuff
may
like
not
that.
they may not understand this. So, I was a late drinker,
Right.
but you've probably heard of the hoochers, no doubt. So,
Aye.
I used to have a drink, but I used to make what's called. I was a master brewer in the end, and I had a certain recipe, and I could drink a beautiful rum brandy, orange brandy, should I say? And I used to get drunk at least once a week. And on my record, it said Lane drinks, manage him. I'm not saying that is a way out for people, but I was in the gym the next morning. I was a gym orderly for 12 years and right the way through.
Yeah.
So I trained hard and I had a drink to have a little. I was a social drinker, so you had to come to my. If you come to my party, you had to dress up like we was going out. And we sang and we drank, and there was never any problems. And if I hadn't had that release, Darren, I wonder how I would have come out the other end.
Aye, definitely.
And I never had a TV for 20 years. I said, get the TV. I watched telly when I come home.
How did that feel?
Well, I worked hard on my case. I was always typing, and I mean, some weeks I sent over 10,000 letters out, and some of them would be folders and DVDs about BBC News bulletins, Guardian documentaries, and such. So it kept me busy because I'm always doing this, typing and writing and photocopying and sending mail out. It felt like I was getting somewhere. So if I sent 100 letters, if I got one reply, I thought I'd made a step forward to going home.
Well, that's true. That's true, man. And that's true. And
Go on.
You saw it, as I say, when you're waiting for mail coming in for the outside, it does kind of give you that, you know what I mean?
The boost.
You rush for the next day to come to get that mail back. You know what I mean?
I had my own prison censor to hand in my mail because the campaign was. The staff used to call my cell the War Office. Which is paperwork everywhere, files. I could pull stuff out, and I mean, when I used to get moved, they used to have a bus, or they had to get an extra extended bus, category A van, to take me and all my paperwork because I had that much of it. It was just a full campaign, and for instance, so you do end up accumulating people write to you, and so on and so forth, from Scotland, from all over the world, in fact, and so you get a lot of mail. And I mean, Christmas, I'd get up to 300 Christmas cards a year. And staff used to say you get more Christmas cards than Charlie Bronson, Kevin.
I've seen some.
It's saying something, but that's just because of the campaign and the people that were supportive of me. Without them, and obviously my drive as well, but without the families and the friends drive and the marches to 10 Downing Street and 500 people, that's a big march.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a question coming in here. How many years did you do, Kevin?
I've done 24 in total now.
There you go. 24 in total. And so, see, when you were in, did you just educate yourself, go education, kind of stuff like that? Because I know back then it was just the wee bucket and pot and kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? There was no kind of stuff like that. So did you go to education to kind of for your time?
What I did, from working on my case, I self-studied. So your English becomes better, your spelling becomes better, your legal speak, because there's a different type of vocabulary to legal speak to normal conversation.
Yeah.
I found that after a while, and from a friend of mine called Robbie Highlands, he assisted me and helped me, and over the 20 odd years, my legal speak and my grammar became excellent. So I could write to my legal representations myself. And I'd get responses from the judges and such saying, "You're a barrister." I said, "No, I've done them." And then they, my barrister, Joel Monet from my QC, he said that I was the most informed client he's ever had. But you would be after 20 odd years
Yeah,
heading
I'd like to think so.
paperwork, wouldn't you?
I'd like to fucking think so, aye.
You know something to come out of it, wouldn't you?
Aye, definitely, Kevin, definitely. Because that's a lot of paperwork, and as I say, what you've got to remember is you're fighting both battles, and because you're trying to say, no, this wasn't me, you know what I mean? Then you're fighting the battle of the crown, saying it is you, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's a big battle. You're still got the hands, you know what I mean? And people didn't realise that.
And dynamite. I used to say, Gelignite and dynamite. Take your pick, because you're going to sleep.
That's like a good
That's a good one. Let me tell you something. There was a part of my campaign, a gentleman came forward in Scotland.
Yeah.
I won't mention his name on it, okay?
Yeah.
But he came forward and he said that he bought the gun used in the murder. And he bought the gun from Roger Vincent. And Roger Vincent gave it to him. And he said that Roger Vincent had told him he'd blown someone's head off with it. And at that time, that gentleman, he said he was told to look at a website. And I had a website at the time and I had all my paperwork over it. And he stayed up all night reading the website and then contacted my website and went to my solicitor. He said, there's an innocent man in prison. He's been set up by a couple of scumbags that he's now found out that they were. He bought the gun at the time because he needed something for a bit of protection. He's changed his life about now, of course. So he came forward. He said, I will take a lie detector test and I'll face the wrath of the criminal fraternity for getting in the dock and telling them the truth, because an innocent man is in prison. The police force that convicted me was Hertfordshire Police.
Yeah.
Hertfordshire Police was given the job to investigate this. Should have been an independent police force. Hertfordshire Police went to see this gentleman and they threatened him with prosecution for perverting the course of justice. Now, isn't that mental?
That is mental. That is mental. So
once again, thanks to my fellow Scots.
Well, that's it. And I've got a bit Scottish lass. Are you still on life licence, Kevin, or is that squashed now?
No, I'm on life licence. So I've been recently recalled, and I did 16 and a half months over a total of. I got out for 4. I was out for 14 and a half months, out for 2, recalled for another 4, and the Secretary of State released me 2 months ago and said he's not done a single thing wrong. Get him out. And they chucked me out on a Friday night at 7:30 in the evening.
That's good.
Door opened and said, get your gear, we've got to get you out lively. I said, give us 10 minutes, Gav, I've got a few things to do.
I need to get my shorts out.
What I did, Darren, I just got all my stuff together, wrote down where it had to go, make sure that the lads got what was entitled to them and not the vultures come steaming in yourself first thing in the morning when you're not there. So I did that and I got out. So I am on life licence, and until my life licence is squashed, I'm always going to be on it. And it's like a noose around your neck.
Yeah.
You know, someone makes an allegation. So when I got recalled for 14 and a half months, that was for common assault.
Wow.
Common assault. And that person had scratched and kicked and punched my car and they were drunk and it was all on camera. But because I'm a lifer, I'm meant to use the tools that I've learned during my sentence to avoid that. You know, they call it a red flag situation. Also, it's a red flag. I must adopt the tools. Well, let me tell you something. That ain't as easy as what people say. And I went to prison for 14 and a half months, got out for 2 and back in again. Disgusting.
That's terrible, eh? How can you justify that? Eh? How can you justify that?
It's not even an imprisonable offence.
Exactly.
Common assault. And regardless of the provocation that happened for me to throw that person, clear off, right? Get away.
That's self-defence.
No, not if you're a lifer. I've used instrumental violence to diffuse the situation. That's what I was told. I should have gone, stay away, leave me alone, and walked home, I was told.
Right.
And they had my keys and all sorts, so no, but nonetheless, it shows what a life licence does to you.
That's see, but that's what people didn't realise, Kevin. See, when they've got like these life license hanging out their heads and that, ordinary people think, you know what I mean? It deserves it and that, but nobody deserves that. You know what I mean? Especially if you've not done anything, or if anything like that, you're going to walk about with this on your back. You know what I mean? That you can get lifted for just the stupidest breach and
anything. Say for
you know what I
instance,
mean?
say for instance, I go on a climate change protest. Okay, so I'm at the front of the protest. We're just peaceful protest. There's a 70 or 80-year-old person next to me, and I'm helping them along. Next thing you know, you got the police in front of you. Get back. Okay, sir. Well, I can't get back because there's 10,000 people behind me.
No,
They
mate.
push you. They're getting panicky. Next thing you know, I'm arresting you, and you're arrested, but you've not done nothing wrong. You just turned up for a peaceful protest, but you've been arrested. So you just never can tell when or where you'll be arrested or for what reason. So the sooner I get this conviction overturned, the better.
Now,
lead a normal life.
As I say, you've got a lot of support in Scotland. As I say, and you will continue to support you, Kevin. Because I say, it's just no fair the way you're getting treated by the Crown system and the justice system. It's just sad. You know what I mean?
If you can sign the change.org, go on there and sign the change.org, and the more signatures we get on that, the better. And the more awareness we bring to my conviction, again, so it just keeps bringing pressure to bear on the criminal justice system, and bringing awareness to it, and sign that and purchase a book. I mean, I say purchase a book. Megan Fox and all the Expendables and Netflix, John Bolton and Lady Diana's autobiographer, Tom Cruise's autobiographer, and I could go on and on and on about professionals that have purchased my book. It's got 4.9 on Amazon. Google Reads had it as one of the best reads of the month last year. I've had book clubs of 100,000 people saying best book they've read last year.
Kevin, see, boys, I believe I'm actually going to buy it. As I say, because I do believe it's going to be a really, really interesting book. And because I like books myself. Through my prison time, I read books, and that kind of life stories is just you know what I mean? It takes you away into a different cloud and relaxes you. You know what I mean? And it gets you right in.
Is a page turner. And I tell you this from, not because it's my book. I've based what I'm telling you now on the reactions I get from people and professionals right across the board, from gypsies who can hardly read. And they've read it and said, Kevin, my God, I've told all my family about it. People with learning difficulties, right up to judges and police and prison wardens, right across the board. And they've gone, Kevin, what a book. And I said, look, you ain't got to blow smoke up my arse. I can tell by a person's reaction how good the book is. And believe me, I wrote that book, okay? I wrote that, okay? And most people think that's my head on the top of that. I'd have to be truthful. It's not.
We'll leave the link descriptions in below for the book and get the book. But I do believe it's going to be a really interesting book, and as you say, you know what I mean, it's just you're not going to be able to take your eyes off it and until it's finished. You know what I mean? All right, you could read it in a good sitting there.
I've had people read it in one sitting. There's stuff in there. There's prison stories in there, things that happened. There's people that I met in there. Tyson Fury's in there. Peter Fury, Kenny Collins, the Hatton Garden burglar.
Aye.
Kenny's a good pal of mine. Peter Fury's a good pal of mine. So they're all in the book, and there's stories as to why they're in the book.
They're good stories.
Charlie Bronson's in the book about a story, something happened with Charlie. So there's a lot of interesting stories in that, as well as factual material about the criminal justice system, what takes place, and people will be astounded by it.
Definitely. Because see, at the end of the day, as I get back to it, people didn't realise there was in Shotts prison in Scotland and Barlinnie, there was 8 overdoses and 2 deaths and another death just 2 days ago, and that was in prisons. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, Terry, a good pal of mine, Terry Conigan, he's in there now. Terry's doing a long sentence, okay? He got done for shooting the boxing trainer in London, Francis, okay?
Right.
Me and Terry used to have some drinks. What a laugh Terry is, honestly. And I'm sad to see, I found out a couple of days ago that Terry's still in prison. And I thought going back to Scotland, he'd have got released a bit quicker. Because you're far more considerate to people serving sentences in Scotland than you are in England.
Yeah.
That's the truth, you know. But yeah, I know about the problems in Scotland with the drugs and the deaths. It's atrocious.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. That was two weekends ago. That was 8 people in the one section in Shotts that overdosed on fake Valium. Then, as I say, there's been 4 murders in the last year in Scottish prison. And so
people don't realise that the amount of murders in there. We are now going like America.
Yeah, oh, definitely, 100%.
Murders all the time in prison. I mean, what's it coming to? You used to have respect for your fellow interns, your fellow prisoners.
Exactly.
There are rules. They're boiling fat, they're melting bottles, and they're throwing them in people's faces over nothing.
Exactly.
Over nothing. And it's sad because I just think it's such a sad. There's more. Why can't we look at Norway? Norway's got the lowest crime rate in the world and the best living standards. Because of their approach to society.
Exactly. Same as Switzerland, isn't it? Switzerland's the same.
Switzerland. So we need to adopt a different strategy and a different thought pattern to banging people up for 30 or 40 years and giving them no hope.
That's
when
what
you give someone some hope, what are you leaving them to? Turn to drugs.
Well, that's all they're witnessing in the jails. You know what I mean? It's because you've got the new generation of prison officers that are connected to organised criminals, and they're all getting jobs in prisons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how? And I don't know if you've ever been in a Scottish prison, Kevin, but how can you commit a murder in the jail? You know what I mean? It's unreal. You know what I mean?
Seen the most atrocious things where people's have had boiling pots of fat tipped over their head. I've seen ears fall off because of it. I've seen faces go like crackling. And believe me, when you hear someone scream who's had that done to them, you can hear them from another wing. It's like a lobster screaming. And 5 murders in the year I came out of this high security in 2011. There was 5 murders in that year in the high security that people outside didn't even know about.
Exactly.
Disemboweled, he had his penis cut off and stuck in his mouth.
Oh, the public didn't know about this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's all kept in behind that wall. You know what I'm talking about? And maybe if the public knew more about what went on inside the prison, instead of thinking that every prisoner's telling lies and making stories up, well, no. You know what I mean? We're telling the truth. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? The jail, in my eyes, they've got to be a prisoner officer that's opened that door. Because, as I say, the 4 people that got murdered were actually in their cell when they got murdered. And as I say, all of a sudden, the door.
No cameras?
Huh?
Where's the cameras?
Well, the cameras are all over the place. And so how did, you know what I mean? So how did nobody get caught for it? You know what I mean? And as I say, one got stabbed, the other one got his throat slit, and I think the other one just got beaten to death. And it's just like, well, nobody knew any about this until somebody phoned out to I think it was his son and exposed it. Then the next minute it came out there was one in Glenorchy, then there was 2 in Shotts, and 1 in Berlin. You know what I mean?
I've seen the biggest knives you could ever imagine. So when I was in HMP Long Larton,
right,
they had a metal shop in there, in a high security prison. Give yourself a break, man. A metal shop. I'll tell you what, this fella pulled a knife out one day. It was like a bayonet, okay?
Yep.
And he had all jagged bits on the top, and on the bottom of it, it's sharpened it like a razor, right? And he said, I'm going to stick this through such and such, Kevin, right? I said, oh, for fuck's sake. I said, you've given me the shivers looking at it. I said, what are you doing with that? He said, I'm going to do such and such. I said, listen, man, you're killing with that.
Exactly.
Give it a break. Put it down.
Right, man.
You're not doing a life sentence, but you will be if you go and use that bloody weapon. I took it off him. I took it off him, threw it in a bin. All right?
Done the guy a favour.
Done both of them a favour.
Exactly.
The fella that he was going to stab deserved it anyway, but maybe not deserved dying.
Aye.
It was pointless violence that they've got means to a weapon that they shouldn't have in the first place. Pick your hands up. That's it.
Exactly. Aye. Right. They need weapons. And it's only pushes that carry knives. You know what I mean? Simple as that. But so, there was another one I was going to say to you about. Google this one up, Kevin. It was a guy had made a shotgun out of a crutch in Berlin about 8 years ago, and it was all used by the inhaler. Do you like your asthma inhaler? Yeah. And the spring for the lighters, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Google that, you know, about the guy, and see when they tested it. They actually got the wee lead bullets for the welders. And when they tried it, it actually went through the CRB cupboards, wee ducats, actually went right through one of them, and they're about that thick, you know what I mean? I googled that. You see, the guy made a shotgun in Berlin.
A lot of prisoners are very clever. If they put their brains into working, they'll be rich and happy.
Definitely.
To do something like that, you've got to have a brain about you.
Well, he was an ex-military.
You know, it's sad, isn't it? You see people wasting their capabilities on pointless crime.
Yeah. When they could be making mega money. And you're talking about
mega money.
You know what I mean?
I see a lot of my pals come home now who are career criminals.
Yeah.
And they've gone to work because they've had enough of going back.
Exactly.
And they're making a successful living for themselves.
Well, that's good, right? That's good, eh? Because see, at the end of the day, it's not just like yourself, it's like your family and like your children and all that. They've got to kind of see like the father making money now. You know, you don't want them to go down the route you went. You know what I mean?
My kids was a bit upset because they went to a night out in Soho and I come out on the stage in drag. Yeah. Yeah, I had you there, Darren. I had you there, didn't I?
You did, like.
I had you there for a minute.
So, that's you there, eh?
No, not me. I ain't got the long enough hair. I ain't got the right legs either.
As I say, another one in for your pal, for Dundee. You'll know who I'm talking about. Morag. What does Kevin think the future will hold for him now?
All right, Morag. Yeah. Well, I import from abroad. I import homes, and I build homes from Germany, Italy, Austria, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking to do a lot for social housing, people and the homeless as well. I'm going to a meeting today with a company called Nishcam Swap.
Yeah, done.
I go out and feed the homeless, and I'm getting my own area, but I'm hoping to start providing shelter and accommodation for the homeless. And if there's anyone in Scotland that is in a position of power, I can provide housing for people at a ridiculous price. And when I say ridiculous, minimal cost. And it's houses, not cardboard houses. These are proper homes that will last 150, 200 years and longer if you look after them, okay? So I'm looking to do more in that field, put some good back into society, move, get this conviction overturned, take care of myself, enjoy the rest of my life, and have some dancing lessons. I
love that. I love that white suit. See the white suit you had on. I think you were going out for Halloween.
Oh, the John Travolta stuff.
Oh, aye. You had the
Yeah.
mood, you were swinging, huh?
I was having a go that night. That is my stuff, I was, I'll tell you.
I guess. Oh, brilliant, man.
I like a good laugh. I'll tell you what I do, see. I was in Dundee, right? And I went out with a fella and they said, go and look for a fella called Paul McCartney. You can't miss him. He's got a berry on. I found him in a club called Distills. Went out on my own. I go out on my own, me anyway. I ended up, some girls come up when they were talking to me and this Paul, nice fella. They said, you want to come to a party?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I'll come to a party. Where is it? They give me this address. I showed this Paul McCartney. He's gone, that's in the Black Hills. Oh, well, I don't know. I've got a new car. Off we went. So driving a new BMW at the time, new series. Gone up in the Black Hills. I pulled in. It's a bungalow in the middle of nowhere. There's all these motorbikes out the front of it, right? I don't know. Fucking hell, there's a lot of bikers here. It was only the Satan Slaves Clubhouse. Yeah. So I've gone in there, Darren, right? You know, talking about having a good time. So I've gone in there. They've got speakers the size of a door, right? And the head bloke's coming up to me. And I must admit, I look a bit like a copper, I suppose, in my younger days. My hair's short like this, right? And I couldn't hear what he was saying. And he was going to me, are you old Bill? And I thought he was saying to me, do you want a pill? And I went, yeah. And he went like that. He goes, you old Bill? I went, yeah. And he took me, he's gone outside. He came and said, you old Bill? I said, you cheeky bastard. I said, no. I said, I thought you said you want a pill. But I went out on my own. I don't condone drugs and that, but you know, flower power, Woodstock, all the rest of it. Back in the day, I don't condone drugs. Look at you talking about people that die in that. But yeah, it is part of the society. But I don't condone it for all those young kids out there and people.
No, definitely.
Takes control of you.
Yeah.
And I like to box. I like to keep fit. There's not many people who can, you know, I like to have a drink now and I go home and go to sleep. That's it, done. But
that's it.
I still like a good time is what I'm talking about. And
I
went out, had a great time.
Oh, that's it. You've got to have a good laugh. If you can't have a laugh, then there's no point in Kevin. I mean, at the end of the day, you've been locked up for that long. You know, I mean, you're entitled to enjoy your life now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And if you can't make a fool of yourself when you're out a night out, then you know you know what I mean, you better stay in the house. Then I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about people in general. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself or enjoy yourself, then you do it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
You've got to be able to laugh at yourself, Darren, haven't you?
You've got to.
I get up in the morning, every morning, look in the mirror, and laugh at myself. I'm looking at the missus.
How do you think I feel?
Fucking hell, like, get some makeup on. I'll get a punch for that in a minute. I know I will. Don't use that because you're a woman of basher. I know she will. Give it away. What questions you got for me? Come on.
Boy. You're some boy, Sam. You're some boy. So, as I say, to round it all off, Kevin, will you come back on?
Yeah, of course I'll come back on for you.
That's brilliant to hear, Kevin. I say, it's been a good laugh and fantastic pod. It's been laughter all the way through, and it's a pleasure to meeting you and speaking to you. And as I say, when you're back up in Scotland, I hope we can meet up and get a wee chat, a wee blather, you know what I mean?
Whereabouts, what part of Scotland are you from?
Falkirk.
Falkirk. How far is that from Dundee? It's a bit, isn't it, that?
It's no far. It's no far. And it's a 2-hour drive. But it's in between, where I stay is in between Glasgow and Edinburgh.
Yeah. Well, I'll come there first, and then it'll be like a pub crawl. So I'll go Falkirk first. I'll go to Glasgow, Falkirk, Dundee.
Well, that's the way you've got to go on the train anyway.
Yeah. Well,
you go Glasgow.
Yeah, on the train. Yeah.
Aye.
I won't fly. I like the train. It's easier, isn't it? Yeah.
Aye, man.
I really enjoyed it, and for all you know, my fellow Scots, although I'm a Cockney jock, I know I sound like that, but I never forget Scotland. I think about it all the time. I think about my father all the time, my family all the time, and I'm proud of my Scottish blood. And I tell people down here, I say I'm fucking Scottish. Don't make me guys. And you know, I loved it in the prison, in the Nicks. Loved it. Yeah, flew the flag for us. Yeah.
Definitely get the Scots, eh? But as I
Yeah,
say, Kevin, so I know you've got to be away for 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I've got to go for my Nishcam squat in my charity meeting.
Yeah, it's good that you're doing stuff for charity. So let's say anything you want to finish off on.
Yeah, for all you young men out there in their 20s or early 30s, I'm telling you now, crime it don't pay. You get a few tickets, you get a few quid. I'll tell you something now, you spend a bit of time in the nick, you'll have more ag. If you could put your brains to something, you'll do a lot better. You got one life. It isn't a dress rehearsal, this. You got one go at life, and you need to enjoy it. So get out and enjoy your life, because sitting in them cells, all right, looking at the ceiling, all right, cuddling your pillar, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you might be cuddling each other, but I never do. All right, that's no way forward. So one life, live it. Enjoy your life, and everybody have a happy Christmas, happy New Year. Take care of each other. Instead of giving someone a right-hander, maybe think of, listen, easier way out. So enjoy life and take care of each other. That's all I say. Okay?
That's about it. That's the same way. Because at this time of year, and just need to look after neighbours, the elderly, make sure everybody's doing well. You know what I mean? And just make sure you keep safe with this new. I'm not going to say the thing with this new lockdown coming on. You know what I mean? We've got to watch and take that serious too. You know what I mean? Because we didn't want to pass it on to our loved ones. You know what I mean? But
well, you might do. You might want to get rid of your loved one. Give her a bit of COVID.
I get them mountains.
Give me COVID. I'm going to kiss you.
Oh, you're some man. You're some man.
Right.
Anyway, like, as I say, it was a pleasure for you to come on.
Pleasure to everybody.
And as I say, Scotland is rocking here in the comments, and we just love you up here.
And yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
And as I say, take care and have a lovely Christmas and New Year. But to you, is it Simone, your wife? Yeah,
your girlfriend. She wants to be my wife. She ain't done long enough yet. I've got to check her out, haven't I? She's still doing her apprenticeship.
But a fucking hard one.
God bless you.
Take care, people. We'll catch you later, Farron.
Bye-bye. 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 You going to do this?